I'm Millie Weaver, and you're watching the Millennial Millie Show. Well, today the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade in a historic ruling, and the Democrats are literally losing their minds. They're going full-blown hysterical because they no longer can have free and open access to unlimited abortions, as they all have grown so dependent on. Now, we have a lot of news to go over today, clearly, because there's just a lot going on right now. But this is huge. This actually means that independent states, especially those conservative red states, can now, on their own accord, they can ban abortion in their states, and there's really not much the Democrats can do about it. I want you to take note, this is a picture that was taken today outside of the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. Now, this is the Capitol Mall area. It's right across the street from the actual United States Capitol building. What do you notice here? Oh, those same protest fences that they put outside of every big political event, but the same protest fences that they conveniently didn't put up on January 6th. So just take note of that, and we're going to touch more on that in a little bit. But first, let's go right into it. Let's go right into the Democrats melting down. We haven't seen such triggerings and meltdowns since Hillary Clinton was not elected in 2016. So really and truly, let's just take a minute here to watch the left melt down and lose their minds. Okay. So let's go ahead and go right to this video. So there you have it. I mean, we've got tears, we've got hysteria. They are melting down. They do not know what to do with themselves. I could imagine that in some of the very liberal circles, men with vasectomies are definitely going to become a hot commodity these days. They are just like, why are we being tortured with not being able to murder our unborn babies? I mean, hey, there are things that you can do, such as birth control. And yes, birth control is not 100%, but we know that the countless millions of babies that have been aborted since the conception of Roe versus Wade, it didn't happen because people were being responsible and taking every necessary means to prevent pregnancy. It happened, and those numbers got and ballooned to that extent because people were just treating abortion like birth control, having numerous abortions. I mean, I've heard of women having like 6, 7, 8 abortions. Some of the people at these protests having tons and tons of abortions. And I could see if you've had abortions and you are remorseful about it and you feel wrong about it and apologetic about it. But many of these leftists out there are just like, yeah, I kill my kids. I love killing my kids. Like, they are not apologetic. So they're getting very aggravated as well. There's some video footage of some Roe versus Wade protesters out there harassing a man for wearing a MAGA hat, hitting it off of his head. So let's go to this video.
Heritage Foundation, get your fucking hat, you piece of shit! What a fucking piece of trash. Oh, I'm so cool. Get my fucking camera on. Wow, I work for the Heritage Foundation. Fucking trash.
So the party that preaches tolerance is not very tolerant to someone walking down the street wearing a MAGA hat on his head. They're cussing at him and flipping him off, and they're just very aggravated. We are anticipating that there are going to be protests, tons and tons of protests. In fact, the Democrats are outright calling for protests. Maxine Waters gets out there and starts yelling out to everyone that people need to be out in the streets protesting, and we're going to get to that footage in a little bit. But first, let's check out another one of these hysterical leftists that decides to take off her shirt and just, who knows what she's saying. I can't really make it out, but she's clearly triggered and melting down. So let's go to it. It looks like she was wearing like a Handmaid's Tale outfit and then decides to take it off and just, I don't know what she starts ranting about after that. It's really hard to tell. But, you know, there's a lot of that going on right now outside of the Supreme Court. Definitely just people losing their minds. The news has just been coming out so fast. We know that AOC was out there as well with her Democrat allies, and she was shouting that this is illegitimate. It's not legitimate. It can't hold up. So let's hear from AOC, because we all want to just revel in these people's meltdown right now, because these people have terrorized conservatives, patriots, Americans that love their country. These people have terrorized us for the past couple of years. So let's take a moment here to applaud the victory of protecting the lives of millions of unborn babies. This is like Independence Day for unborn children. They finally have their rights, their freedoms, and the left are melting down. Why? Because they're a bunch of baby killers, okay? A bunch of baby killers. So let's go to this.
Illegitimate! This decision! Illegitimate! This decision! Illegitimate! Into the streets! 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 Decision! Illegitimate! This decision!
Wait, so suddenly, it seems, all of these feminists, these leftists out there now are proclaiming that they want to protect women's rights. But wait a second, I thought they couldn't define what a woman is. So how are you going to protect the rights of someone or something that you can't even define what it is? It's just ridiculous. And you can see them trying to very awkwardly tiptoe around this when you see AOC being interviewed by CNN, and she says, people, pregnant peoples. So let's go to that clip here of her being interviewed by CNN.
Because, frankly, the right to
what
the Supreme Court just did was that they chose to endanger the lives of all women and all birthing people in this country. But not only that, they've chosen to strip rights from men, too. Because, frankly, the right to our own bodies and the right to form our families, this is something that belongs to all of us. And it does not belong to lawmakers. It does not belong to 9 Supreme Court justices.
So how does this strip the rights from men, too? Because I thought they said that no uterus, no voice. You know, like, if you're a man, shut up. We don't want to hear from you. You don't have a say. You don't have any right in this. And then now she's claiming that, wait a second, they're taking the rights from men, too. And I hope they're not talking about pregnant men like Bill Gates. I mean, maybe that's what they're referencing. I don't know. This is insanity, though. I don't know whether or not she was referencing that men are having the rights taken away, in that she's referencing women that have transitioned to being men, that are technically women with uteruses but are, like, looking like men. So at this point, it's just gotten so convoluted and twisted that it's really hard to know what the heck anyone's talking about or what's going on these days. It's getting that bad. And quite frankly, I don't think AOC even knows. I mean, her face looks kind of puzzled and confused in that interview, I would say. And then, of course, we have Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters tells people to fight the hell with the Supreme Court. I will defy them. So wait a second. Is this an insurrection against the Supreme Court? An insurrection against the law? When she's saying, I will defy the Supreme Court? I mean, they come off as delirious, really. It's insane. All right, so let's go to this clip of Maxine Waters just losing it.
Here, you ain't seen nothing yet. Women are going to control their bodies no matter how they try and stop us. The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them. Women will be in control of their bodies. And if they think black women are intimidated or afraid, they got another thought coming. Black women will be out in droves. We will be out by the thousands. We will be out by the millions. We're going to make sure we fight for the right to control our own bodies. Thank you. Hello, everybody. You see this turnout here?
So she's calling on people to go out in the streets by the millions. So we can all guess where this is going. Last time I heard the Democrats calling on everyone to get out in the streets and protest was the George Floyd riots. So we don't know if this is where this is going, but certainly cities are preparing for that. Definitely they're preparing for that. But first, let's go to Nancy Pelosi, okay? Nancy Pelosi, now this is ridiculous watching her. I'm not going to lie. See if you can catch the part in this interview where her earring falls off mid-speech. She's just so, like, you could tell she's so upset that they've lost their access to the babies and the baby organs and the baby bodies, and who knows what else they're doing with those baby body parts, right? But she is just so upset that women can't abort their babies anymore, and therefore she comes off as pretty out of it. But then again, she could just be drunk. Who knows? Half the time Nancy Pelosi gives her speeches, she seems very intoxicated.
Degrading Americans' rights and endangering their health and safety. But the Congress will continue to act to overcome this extremism and protect the American people. Today, the Republican-controlled Supreme Court has achieved their dark, extreme goal of ripping away a woman's right to make their own reproductive health decisions. Because of Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, and the Republican Party, their supermajority in the Supreme Court, American women today have less freedom than their mothers. With Roe and their attempt to destroy it, radical Republicans are charging ahead with their crusade to criminalize health freedom. In the Congress, be aware of this, the Republicans are plotting a nationwide abortion ban. They cannot be allowed to have a majority in the Congress to do that, but that's their goal. And if you read, and again, we're all studying all this, but if you read what is in the very clear, one of the justices had his own statement. It's about contraception, in vitro fertilization, family planning.
Now watch that earring, okay? Those earrings are hanging onto her saggy earlobes for dear life, okay? So just keep an eye on that.
That is all what will spring from their decision that they made today. It's such a contradiction.
Oh, it went.
Yesterday,
it went. Did you see it?
States.
Let's see if we can back it up here. Okay.
Decision that they made today.
There it went.
It's such a contradiction.
They're falling
Yesterday,
apart.
to say the states
The Democrats are falling apart, guys.
cannot make laws governing
They're losing it.
the constitutional right to bear arms. And today, they're saying the exact reverse, that the states can overturn a constitutional right for 50 years, a constitutional right.
Oh,
The
she
woman
took off the other
having the right-
earring. She couldn't have she couldn't have one on, so she took the other one off. I can't, guys. I can't. This is just ridiculous. What am I watching? What am I watching? No. No.
to choose.
Oh, man.
The hypocrisy
Why this
is
so funny?
raging, but the harm is endless. What this means to women is such an insult. It's a slap in the face to women about using their own judgment to make their own decisions about their reproductive freedom.
Man, Nancy is just
And
not
again,
having a
it
good
goes
day
well.
today,
I always
guys.
have said the termination
Oh,
of a
man.
pregnancy is just their opening act. It's just their front game. But because
Nancy is just not having a good day today, guys. Nancy Pelosi is not having it. She is falling apart. She's definitely pausing a lot when she's speaking, and her earrings fell off mid-speech. And of course, she had to take the other one off, which I'm sorry, I found that to be hilarious, guys. All right? Those news bloopers are really funny to me. Okay? All right, so I guess we can go to Joe Biden and his response. We'll go to this quick little clip from Joe Biden where he basically says that, in essence, he's really arguing that you should be punished for the sins of your father or parent, because he's saying that he's essentially saying these babies should be allowed to be aborted if they were conceived in rape, if their father was a rapist. I mean, obviously, rape is a horrible thing, okay? It's very horrible. And no one wants that to happen to them or anyone they love. But do two wrongs make a right? That is the question. Do two wrongs make a right? And does killing an unborn innocent child that had nothing to do with anything, is that just? Let's go to the clip.
Could be punished for protecting their health. So extreme that women and girls were forced to bear their rapist's child. With the child, a consequence. It just stuns me. So extreme that doctors will be criminalized for fulfilling.
Was he going to say a child is a consequence of rape? Like, that doesn't sound right. He cut himself off there, but there are human beings walking around out there today who are children who were born and there happened to be a rape in which they were conceived, right? And I wouldn't say that this is their mother's consequence. Like, oh, this is what you get for being raped. Oftentimes when you have women who are raped, when they carry out their pregnancies and have their child, most of the women are fulfilled in some way by doing that. And it helps them heal. But, you hear instances and stories where women are raped and they have abortions, and it's committing another harmful tragedy in the name of another tragedy. It's never good. It's never good, guys. And we all know that the abortions carried out because of rape are a very small statistical fraction of the abortions that are being carried out daily in this country. Out of the millions and millions and millions of babies being aborted, they're a very small percentage of those abortions. So they always try to use the statistical anomaly, the small little fraction of instances, to argue their entire point so that they can just have free reign with killing babies. And so this is just more of the Democrats, in my opinion, trying to stoke up anger to get people riled up so that they go out and protest, which then, of course, he then follows with, but don't be violent, keep protests peaceful. Okay, it's not this clip. I'm going to show you the next clip where he does say that. Okay, but first, let's go to this. So apparently Antifa is now giving instruction to their comrades to make sure they leave their mobile phones at home when they go out and protest or riot over Roe versus Wade. So they've put this out on the internet and are giving people the heads up, hey, please leave your phones at home. And this is coming from Andy No, who is really active in following the Antifa people on social media and tracking them, covering their protests, which we know he was beaten up mercilessly by Antifa one time while he was out there covering a protest. So I would trust what he says on that matter, that it's probably valid. They probably are planning to leave their mobile phones. Why? Because we know that they can use the cell phone ping location data to hone in on who goes out and cover riots, essentially. That's more of the tracking and data collection, so they can use that against you, and the Antifa have wisened up to that, and so they leave their phones at home. It appears that in Dallas, Texas, the businesses there are boarding up windows in preparation for the protests. So here's some video footage of them boarding up their windows. They're essentially anticipating Antifa and other groups coming out and bashing windows. So there you go. That's in Dallas area. Businesses boarding up windows. There are reports of businesses throughout the city boarding up windows. The left are essentially calling for nationwide protests, demanding that the overturn of Roe versus Wade be overturned or undone. I don't know. But they are really pissed off about Roe versus Wade being overturned, so they want something done about it. Also, activists outside of the Supreme Court have been handing out pieces of paper with the personal home address of Justice Clarence Thomas, essentially threatening the Supreme Court justices and planning future demonstrations and protests outside of their home. So that's something that we can definitely look forward to seeing in the media, more craziness outside of Supreme Court justices' homes. It's too bad that the Democrats condone this type of harassment on a Supreme Court justice outside their home, but this is what the Democrats do. It is not beyond them to go protest and harass people outside their homes. They don't care if they're children or grandchildren or other family members that they end up threatening and harassing. They just want their way, like a bunch of toddlers that are going to throw a massive temper tantrum and terrorize you if they don't get their way. So let's go to this video clip where we have a person calling them out for harassing Supreme Court justices or pre-planning to harass them.
Why are you assaulting a justice and going to their house? Don't you feel like, yeah, you are. That goes against the republic and the system. Why would you do such a thing? I would never do that if I disagreed with the case.
All I can say is that, we go out there, the police are out there. If it was an issue, they would probably arrest us. So.
Well, I think they should. I think they should arrest you for even suggesting such a thing. That's awful. That is an assault on our democracy.
Well, I understand that. And we've had people come and ask the police to arrest us, and so far they haven't. So.
Well, I hope you get arrested tonight. What else can I say? Why are you assaulting a justice and going to their...
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be illegal, but when you have blue cities that literally practice the ideology of unequal protection under the law and they just enforce the law when they want to and don't when they don't, that's what happens. You have people going out there actually violating laws. And why is it illegal? Well, because they've made laws that protect Supreme Court justices and judges from being harassed outside of their homes. It's illegal actually to protest outside of their homes because it could be seen as trying to sway an election, or sorry, not an election, sway a ruling or a hearing, or try to threaten the justices in order to give them an opinion in one way or another. So it is illegal, but the Democrats, they know how to go around it. These left-wing protest organizations have tons of legal advisors. I mean, they've got a lot of experts and coaches that coach them on how to skirt the lines. So they know how to do that just right. But believe me, they will be there. Now, Here's the awesome part. If you want to see people cheering and jumping up and down over the victory for the unborn, here's some video clips of the pro-life groups outside of the Supreme Court celebrating. Yeah, they are just loving it. They've been fighting for so long for the unborn. So there you have it. Not all women are crazy, deranged feminists that want to murder babies. You got tons of young girls out there, young women out there celebrating that life is being protected. They value unborn lives. They value babies. They value that. They know that it is sacred and that it is a human life. And so they are celebrating their victory that they've been fighting for. Here's more footage of women that are pro-life. And they are out there celebrating and marching in the streets, so happy about Roe versus Wade being overturned. And just once again, note, let's see if I can show you it. Note the fences. Note the big protest fences. When you have a big event like this that is very contentious or controversial, and you know that there's going to be one side of groups or protesters that are going to be upset with the ruling, the city puts up barriers ahead of time. And notice that is exactly what they did here, but did not do before January 6th and what happened at the Capitol. What happened at the Capitol was highly unusual. They wanted it to happen, okay? So therefore, Nancy Pelosi is a POS because she wanted this all to happen. She was the one who told her sergeant of arms that then instructed the Capitol Police to not have the National Guard there or have any of the barriers, fences up that they would normally have. They had it for the inauguration in 2017, really, for the 2016 presidential election, for Trump's inauguration. They've had these big fences outside the DNC, outside the RNC. This is very typical. This is normal protocol to have these fences outside, all right? It was not normal for them to have not had them, right? I probably said too many double negatives there. But what was bizarre was that they didn't have any of that on January 6th when they knew that that was going to be very controversial and they knew that they were likely to upset large amounts of people. And what, lo and behold, they had all those agitators and protesters, paid agitators, FBI agents, agent provocateurs, jumping in line, first storming through the barricades, breaking in the windows, many of them dressed in black bloc. I mean, come on. Come on, guys. All right, so let's go to now, well, let's talk a little bit more about Joe Biden and the speech he gave regarding the Supreme Court, because what he's actually saying in his speech, actually, it gives us a little insight into why we might be seeing what we've been seeing with this overturn of Roe versus Wade. So let's go to it. Let's see, right here. Let's go. Shoot, I lost it. All right. Sorry, guys. I'll just tell you what happened. Okay, so in Joe Biden's speech that he gave in response to the overturn of Roe versus Wade, which is out there, you guys can all look it up, watch it for yourself. Joe Biden goes to then explain and talk about how the midterms are coming up and how women's rights over their body is what's on the ballot this midterm election. So the Democrats are really using this as a trigger point event in order to mobilize and energize their base, in order to get them really caring again about politics and get them charged up to go out and vote and campaign for the midterms. Because one, the Democrats have been really worried about the midterms because the Biden administration has been failing miserably. Gas prices are high. Inflation is high. The economy is really not doing very well. So the American people, most of them, many normies that don't even pay attention to the news and politics, that's one thing that affects their everyday life. So they can't help but tune in and go, hey, something's not right here. It must be this president and his administration. People are simple and they make that one-to-one connection right there. Okay? So they've had a hard time distracting the American people from that narrative. They've tried with the clown show January 6 hearings, which got low ratings. I mean, it's been a failure on their part to steer the narrative onto that and try to use Trump as the red towel for the bull, so to speak, like a matador, to get the bull's attention in their direction. So they failed in that regard with the January 6 hearings. So one of the things I am a little bit concerned about here, guys, is the timing of this overturn of Roe versus Wade. Although it is really good that this is happening right now because it's going to save countless unborn lives between now and if they had waited until after the midterms. But the thing about them doing it pre-midterm is this is definitely going to energize the Democrat base and get them out there, because many just lemmings, let's just say, are going to think, oh my gosh, I can't have my women's rights unless I go out and vote for the Democrats. And oh well, you know, if they measure food, gas, the economy versus their right to kill their unborn babies, they're going to like put it up above that, okay? So I know a lot of people with common sense out there are like, well, and I've heard this a lot throughout the conservatives commenting on social media forums and whatnot, saying, well, they're going to have to come to the realization that food and gas is more important than the right to have an abortion. And I'm going to tell you right now, in most of these deranged lemming leftists' head, the right to abortion is more important to them than food and gas, okay? So that's a problem, all right? And that's probably one of the only things that they could have used to energize them. And now here it is. They're being energized over it. So there's a pro and a con to everything. And in this instance, with the ruling of Roe versus Wade, at this exact timing that it's being done, that is the con. That is the negative of this situation. It's definitely going to energize them. Now, on the other hand, if this rolls out into massive protests that erupt and people start rioting, start burning buildings and burning cars, and really, if they really take it to that extreme, it might have a negative effect on the Democrats and their base, potentially, because that might actually energize the conservatives and the Republican base to energize again as well, and it might get them really riled up and wanting to go out there to vote to ensure that these crazy people and their lunatic protest agitators continue to not be in power. Like, get them out of power, please. So we're really looking at a large variety of scenarios that could happen here. Now, on some good news, we have Virginia Governor Youngkin now coming out and saying that he backs the abortion restrictions after the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. And so this is kind of signaling that we may see in Virginia some new laws take into effect that will ban abortion, so to speak, in Virginia. So we definitely are just seeing a lot of stuff come out right now as this hearing, this ruling has been very fresh. It just happened today. And so we're just watching and seeing how this all unfolds in the media right now, how people are picking sides and how things are going to happen and not happen. Now, we know Disney definitely has picked their side long ago, but now Disney has come out and they are offering to pay employees to travel to other states in order to get an abortion. I kid you not, guys. That is Disney for you. So how many of these leftist companies, organizations are going to be paying their employees to travel to go get an abortion? Is it incentivizing? It's like, oh, cool. If I go get an abortion, I get a vacation. Like, what? What are we looking at here? And wait a second, how the heck does Disney benefit from abortion? I mean, wouldn't Disney benefit by there being more kids, hence more kids to come to Disney World or Disneyland? Like, what are we, or more kids to buy Disney things? Disney movies, Disney products? Clearly, there's a lot more to this picture. There's a lot more going on here than meets the eye. And it makes you really wonder on some of the weird satanic, pedophilic things that people have said about Disney as to whether or not that is true. Definitely makes you wonder. Wink, wink. All right, so let's continue on here. We've got this new gun bill. Okay, so at the same time that Roe versus Wade is now being overturned, the night before, we have Congress passing their first major federal gun safety legislation that they've successfully passed in decades. All right. So now the bill is going to be going up for Joe Biden to sign. So this is the thing that's actually the most upsetting about this, is that 14 Republicans actually went along with this and helped the Democrats pass this infringement on the Second Amendment. Nowhere in the Constitution is there a constitutional right to have an abortion. Yet, clearly in the Constitution, the Second Amendment protects our right to bear arms. Yet the Democrats want to complain about people's rights being violated. Let's talk about our Second Amendment rights, our constitutional rights, our right to protect ourselves. They talk about women should have the right to abort a baby because it was conceived in rape. Well, what about giving women the right to bear arms to protect themselves with the Second Amendment, with a gun, so that they can actually shoot and kill men that try to rape them? Okay? So you don't want to give me a gun so I can protect myself from being raped, but then you want to tell me I have the right to abort the baby from a rapist? Like, this is sick, guys. It is sick and twisted. They want to take away our guns, but clearly they had to come with something more mild in order to get the Republicans' help because of how we have the House and the Senate laid out right now on the political checkerboard or chessboard. But if they can mobilize their base for the midterms, and if they can get the House and the Senate locked in with a good solid majority, that is when the gloves come off and all hell breaks loose. Better believe that they will start passing more and more gun safety bills, gun control bills, where they take away more and more of our rights. Now, these are the GOP leaders who essentially supported this bill. And why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised at these names? So Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Tom Rice of South Carolina, John Katko of New York, Maria Salazar, Florida, Chris Jacobs of New York, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, Peter Meyer of Michigan, Fred Upton of Michigan, Tony Gonzalez of Texas, Steve Chabot of Ohio, Mike Turner of Ohio, David Joyce of Ohio, Anthony Gonzalez of Ohio. Bunch of sellouts, bunch of rhinos, Republican in name only, establishment hacks. Get them out of here. They've just violated their own constitutional oath of office. It says shall not be infringed in the Constitution. You took an oath to that. You agreed to that when you became our representatives. Therefore, you violated your oath of office. So every single one of these people need to be voted out of office. And of course, we need to vote out these Democrats as well that do not respect our Second Amendment rights, our constitutional rights. Get them out of there. Vote them out of there. This upcoming midterm is going to be a very important election right now. Why? Because here's what they can do, okay? Here's what they can do. They can fire up their base before the midterms to get them all out to vote, right? And of course, stuff some ballots here and there where they need. And then if they have the solid House and Senate, we already know what they're going to do. They've already told us what they're going to do. They said they're going to pack the Supreme Court. If they pack the Supreme Court, that will give them the ability to overturn previous rulings and do whatever they want at that point. So the Supreme Court is something that definitely needs to be protected. And you can protect the Supreme Court by making sure that we have a Republican House and Republican Senate, or at least one or the other. But if all goes for the Democrats and we have Joe Biden just signing anything and everything, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So we definitely have to get mobilized for this election. All right, so what does the Supreme Court's gun ruling mean for gun control? So the Supreme Court, at the same time that the Congress was passing their bill to try to take away American gun owners' freedoms and rights, the Supreme Court made a ruling against gun control. What did their ruling say? What does it mean? Well, it expands Americans' right to bear arms in that in New York, this is what the whole thing was about. Okay, it was a challenge to a New York law that restricted your ability to conceal carry a handgun in the public. And the argument was that people should only be able to have a handgun in their home. And so what this did was it set a new, it recognized that the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to carry a handgun for self-defense outside the home. And therefore, in doing so, they can no longer create laws like New York's laws, which require people who wanted to carry a license to carry a concealed handgun in public to show that they have a good reason and are no longer allowed. So basically, before the law said you have to have a good reason. What is your reason for wanting to have a gun to protect yourself in public? And they had to present a reason, essentially asking for permission, which then could be denied. And this sets the precedent that they have the right to have that gun and they don't have to give a reason for it. So this is a big deal. And it also sets the stage for, are we going to see the Supreme Court overturn what the Democrats also just passed with help from rhinos, of course, in the House? So very interesting. It's very interesting to see this battle play out. So here's a little clip to show you what the gun reform bill in Congress means.
Gun background checks for people under the age of 21. It sets aside $750 million to give to states that implement red flag laws, which are designed to temporarily seize guns from people who are deemed a danger to themselves or others. And it closes the so-called boyfriend loophole, which prevents someone who's been convicted of a domestic abuse crime but lives outside of a victim's home from buying a gun. Now, this is nowhere near what Democrats wanted. It doesn't restrict the sale of assault weapons. It doesn't restrict the sale of high-capacity magazines. But negotiators tell me that what was more important here was to show that Congress could get something done on gun safety after years of failure.
So clearly this victory that the Democrats have had, it's not that much of a victory. Like, they didn't get some of the more radical, drastic things that they wanted in this bill. It is pretty ridiculous that they're going to be able to limit people on background checks that are between 18 and 21 years of age. So you can go off and fight in the military and have a gun there when you're 18, but out here as a civilian you can't. Like, come on. And so just because mass shooters of a certain age decided to go shoot up people, that therefore you should be discriminated against based on your age as to whether or not you have the right to defend yourself, it's ageist. Or what they say, it's ageist. Yeah, ageism, ageist. One of those words. All right, so let's see. What else do we have here? I've got so much stuff. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about... Sorry about that. Let's talk a little bit more about the protection of the Supreme Court and how it differed from January 6th. January 6th had hardly any police presence there or protection. Check this video footage out showing how it was different this time. Because let's be honest, if you had a bunch of leftists storming the Supreme Court, it wouldn't be good for their narrative right now, would it? No. Because then they could be accused of inciting a riot or an insurrection. So, of course, they had to have the police out there in full force. They've got the shields, the helmets, marching around. And here's the reality. It's not fair to blame the Capitol Police for what happened on January 6th. Of course not. The Capitol Police Chief actually wanted there to be National Guard. They wanted to have backup. They wanted reinforcements, just like you're seeing right now here on the National Mall, okay, for the Supreme Court building. But Nancy Pelosi wouldn't give it to them. She would not. Here's more footage of bicycle police out there, just to document and show you. You did not see this police presence out there on January 6th. I know I keep restating this, but it's key. This illustrates exactly what they wanted to happen on January 6th, that it was a setup. They set up Trump. They set up the Trump supporters. They wanted the storming of the Capitol to happen for their narrative. Do you really think that if they didn't want people to get in there, that the people would have gotten there? You really think that? You really think that if they wanted to make sure that building was protected and that people didn't get in there, that they wouldn't have had National Guard? They wouldn't have had all these riot police, bicycle police, everything, the proper fencing around the building? And don't just say, oh, well, they're just doing this now because of January 6th. No, they did it during the inauguration in 2017. They did it during all the other events. Even the RNC and the DNC, I mean, they did it at all the past events. So the anomaly here is how they handled January 6th. Now, Justice Clarence Thomas, the based Supreme Court justice, he is now coming out also saying that they have a duty to correct the error and establish these precedents in regards to past rulings that established rights to contraception as well as same-sex relationships and marriage. So now that's something that the left is also getting all bent out of shape over, is they're now, you know, he's essentially saying that some of the laws, well, I'll tell you what he says. It says, Thomas says the same goes for the other rights he listed, and he urged the court to go further, scrapping substantive due process, the legal theory underpinning those rights altogether. So he's talking about making other rulings that definitely would enrage and tick off the left. So they're in a very excited state right now. They definitely have their trigger point events they need for them to go out and riot and get energized, and that's exactly what we're seeing happen. Meanwhile, the Democrats are still continuing their witch hunts against President Trump and anyone and everyone around him, and they've stepped it up by now having the federal agents do a search, a subpoena in like SWAT gear on Jeffrey Clark, a Trump DOJ official. So when this guy's sleeping in the middle of the night wearing his pajamas, here comes the federal agents with their guns and saying, we have the ability to search you, we have a warrant, we have a subpoena, whatever, and they took his electronics. And this is something that clearly is meant to cause intimidation. If all it was a subpoena for electronics, they could have just probably requested it. Why did they have to do like a raid? Why did they have to go in the dead of night when this guy's literally in his bed in his pajamas? This is meant to intimidate and harass Trump's allies, anyone that took side with Trump. Why are they going after Jeffrey Clark? Jeffrey Clark was one of the main people in the DOJ that was really pushing to have more investigations into the 2020 election and the election fraud evidence and claims that were being made from from Trump and also from many of the other people who were coming forward about election fraud in 2020. So he was very adamant and pushing that the DOJ do more to investigate and look into it. So of course, he's now being retaliated against. What do we know? Wow. So do I feel bad that these Democrats are melting down and making jokes of themselves or falling apart right now? No, I do not feel bad because these people are demented. Speaking of demented, here's a drag queen that was recently busted. She is one of the drag queens that has been promoted and touted by the left, and she has performed in front of children in these drag shows where children are present. And she is being charged with 25 counts. Well, I shouldn't even say she. It's a he, guys, okay? This demon creature is being charged with 25 counts of child pornography. Disgusting. Disgusting. Felony class 2 child pornography and 18 counts of criminal use of communications facility. So this person was busted with tons and tons of child pornography recently in Pennsylvania. And here they are dancing up on stage in front of little children. What the hell? Seriously, what the hell? Here's the video right here. What parents bring their kids to this stuff? This, like, what the hell? Like, you're trying to be so trendy that you're exposing your children to pedophiles? Can we just bring back Barney? Like, seriously? Why this? Why do we all need some big, colorful creature to all just put in front of our kids to have them be entertained and to put it up as a role model? Let's just bring back Barney, because then we can have the big, colorful purple dinosaur just dancing and singing in front of kids. And not this creepy, weird she-demon, whatever it is, he-demon, she-demon. And just turns out it's a pedophile. Oh, big shock, big surprise. Like, weird. I'm sorry. I would feel really awkward as hell walking around all sexy in heels, dancing around in front of kids. Like, I'm sorry. That would feel extremely awkward and inappropriate and would never happen in a million freaking years, okay? So why does this person, whatever, think that this is okay? Oh, probably because they also have treasure troves of child pornography. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's probably why. And why the heck are parents bringing their kids to this? And what's with these fully grown men here also? Like, come on, guys. Like, maybe they're into that. I don't know. Maybe they're just some weird perverted thing. But whatever, fine. If adults want to go see this stuff, who cares? They're adults. But when you start bringing little kids, it's disgusting. It's freaking sick. It's freaking sick. And this is even more mild and toned down than some of the other stuff I've seen. But it really just illustrates, like, why are kids even being brought into, like, club-like settings? Okay? Originally, drag show performers were nightclub performers. So let's bring kids to nightclubs? Like, what? How are they even getting in? So they just recreate a nightclub-like scene for children to be present in so that they can be groomed and influenced by these creatures that turns out most of them are pedophiles. Not all of them, right? As far as we know, right? Haven't been all busted, but many of them are being busted to where there's becoming an alarming correlation here between these drag queen story performers for children and story time readers also having backgrounds or being busted for child pornography or child molestation or sexual assault. I mean, it's getting sick. We've actually seen more people in the LGBTQ community, gay community, whatever, adults with reasonable minds starting to come forward and say, I don't support this. This is disgusting. We shouldn't be supporting this. And really and truly, if you were LGBTQ, you would definitely want to jump on that bandwagon, because anytime people start attacking children, humanity tends to have this like rubber band snapback effect, and it hasn't taken place yet. But like, you better get rid of them, okay? That's all I'm saying. It's not looking good. Not looking good, okay? Because parents are only going to tolerate this for so long, and many of these idiots that are taking their kids to it are just naive idiots that are being duped, and I don't think that they realize how bad the situation is. But it's only a matter of time before more people find out, when you have people literally being busted like this and being arrested for child pornography, etc. And who's to say how these kids are going to think when they grow up? How do we know these kids, when they become adults, aren't going to be like, what the hell was wrong with my parents exposing me to this? They ruined my innocence. They robbed my innocence. They put me in front of all these groomers and people that wanted to do me harm. We don't know how these children are going to react when they get older. But what I have seen also is tons and tons of people who were conned into some of this gender stuff and trans surgeries and everything else, like those genital surgeries that then come out later and regret it. So I'm thinking that we're very likely to see that happen as well. Definitely. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this show today. I mean, we went over quite a bunch, and I really would like to be able to go out and cover some of this stuff. So you guys could help support me directly so I can continue to do this journalism, and hey, maybe even go out and, you know, do some of those old man on the streets where I talk to some of these crazy deranged leftists. So if you want to support me, you guys could actually support me. I recently set up a Cash App, so you could directly support me on Cash App, which would be great if I could help, you know, if you guys could help me raise some funds so we could go out and get some footage of these crazy triggered liberals, because we know there are going to be protests nationwide, meltdowns, all that good stuff, and hook a girl up so she can go out there and talk to these people. You know, those gas prices are high these days, so hook a girl up so I can go out and cover it, because this is going to be epic stuff out there, and you're not going to want to miss it. So yeah, all you have to do is just put your phone up and you can scan that code right there in the video, and that'll directly take you to my Cash App, or you can use this MillennialMillie on Cash App in order to look me up on there. Also, you can support me by going to MillennialMillie.com and making a purchase. I've got hats, shirts, all that good stuff on sale. So go to MillennialMillie.com and shop there in order to help support independent journalism. Guys, I'm an independent journalist. I am supported by nobody but you. So if you don't support me, I'm not able to do the work that I would love to do, and that would be great content for you guys to see. So MillennialMillie.com, I've got posters here I can sign for you, shirts. These are great shirts for the summer, Drain the Swamp shirts. Check it out, guys. Quality printed shirts. Only the best quality. Only the best quality. In fact, I think I have some right here. Right here in the studio that I could show you. Let me see. All right. So here's some of them. Check it out. So we've got the Drain the Swamp shirt right there. All right, which we need to do this midterm. We need to drain the swamp. Drain them. Drain them. They are trying to take away your gun rights. They are trying to take away all your freedoms and rights. Drain the swamp, guys. This is sure to piss off and trigger the liberals. So get it. Make them squirm. Trigger them, all right? Also, you've got a Shadowgate shirt. These are awesome as well. Nice black t-shirts. These are also great for the summer. These are both short sleeve cotton t-shirts. Get them, guys. They're nice quality shirts, and your purchases help support real independent journalism. So MillennialMillie.com, that's where you guys can go shop to find those deals, and there are some things on sale. So get it. Get on it. And there are some pink Shadowgate hats, ball caps as well. For the ladies, get your pink Shadowgate ball caps. And of course, you guys could also support me on Subscribestar, which the link is in the description. I have posted the link, so if it's on Facebook, it should just be up on the post for Subscribestar and whatnot. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the broadcast today. I enjoy giving the news to you because I give it to you real and I give it to you true. So, all right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you back again on Monday. Remember, check back in at MillennialMillie.com for my show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you check it out, you can go there every single day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. and you can watch the show for free. It broadcasts live on the site. Just as you can see, I'm broadcasting live right now. You see it? Woo, broadcasting live. You can watch it for free. But if you sign up and subscribe on Twitch, you can watch it on your own time and watch it whenever you want. So there's that as well. All right, I hope you enjoyed the show. This is Millennial Millie signing off.